Hello everyone, I'm Ankit and you're watching StudyIQ IAS English. In our today's video, we are going to find out why is Chabahar port of Iran in news actually. Now the notes that I will be using for this session, if you want to download them, they will be made available on this particular Telegram channel known as ATS Live. So you can go to this Telegram channel and download the notes. And also while you're at it, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel also. Okay. Now let us first of all understand why are we discussing Chabahar port. Now United States, it has said that it has withdrawn the sanction waiver that it provided to India for operationalizing the Iran's Chabahar port, which is obviously being developed by India. Now this ended a waiver that was given by US government back in 2018 under the first term of the United States President Donald Trump. So this is the development. Why are we discussing Chabahar port? Because there were certain exemptions to the sanctions that US had given us. Now it has taken those exemptions back. Now from this understanding, first of all, it is very crucial for us to locate and understand where is Chabahar port and why is it so important for India. Now Chabahar port is Iran's first deep water port, which is located in Gulf of Oman. And in terms of Pakistan's location, it is located west of it. And it is also located west of a particular port in Pakistan, Ghadar port, which has been developed by China. And Ghadar port is located in a very problematic province of Pakistan known as Balochistan, right? So this is the importance of Chabahar port. It is located in Iran, very close to the Pakistani border. Now let us look at the location of the Ghadar port. Now Ghadar port is located here in the Gulf of Oman region, and once you move eastward, very near to it is Ghadar port. So Chabahar port is in Gulf of Oman, Ghadar port is also in the Arabian Sea, and Ghadar port is being developed by China. And you can understand the benefit of India developing Chabahar port. Now theoretically, if you have to send goods from Kandla to Kabul, you can take two routes. That is, you can navigate through Pakistan, reach Kabul, and you can take an oceanic route through Chabahar port and ultimately reach Kabul here. So what do you think is better for India? Obviously, this route is not feasible because we don't have good relations with Pakistan. So that is why India was developing Chabahar port, so that we can send goods to Afghanistan and ultimately northwards to Central Asian republics, entirely bypassing the country of Pakistan. Okay. Now, India's involvement in Chabahar port has been since many decades. It started in 2002 when Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee was in power, and it was formalized with Iran in 2003 in terms of an agreement officially known as Vajpayee-Khatami Roadmap. President Khatami was then the president of Iran. Now, in 2016, this bilateral agreement became trilateral, where another party, Afghanistan, was added to it. And Afghanistan signed this deal with Iran and India to develop Chabahar port, which would serve as a trade corridor entirely bypassing the Pakistan. And at that time, Afghanistan also wanted to enable Indian goods to come to it cheaply without having to depend on Pakistan, right? Now, what is the strategic importance of Chabahar port for India? This is very important for us to understand. First is that it provides us an alternative way to Afghanistan and Central Asian Republic, entirely bypassing Pakistan. So this is the first reason. Second, let us think about India's broader economic prospects. What India wants to do, it wants to increase its trade with Afghanistan, Central Asian Republic, Russia, as well as Europe. So India is undertaking a development of a corridor known as International North-South Transport Corridor, INSTC. Now this corridor links India with Iran through Chabahar port, ultimately it reaches Caspian Sea region to Russia and ultimately to Europe. So India can effectively transport its goods to Europe without having to navigate either through Pakistan or to the oceanic route through Suez Canal and Mediterranean Sea. Similarly, it also helps India counter the Chinese influence in the Indian Ocean region and the Arabian Sea region. First of all, China is developing Ghadar port in Pakistan's Balochistan province. Theoretically, it's a commercial port, but you can understand if Pakistan were to default on its loan provided by China, China would gain an unfair amount of control over the Gwadar port. So theoretically, it is possible that going forward, China might also deploy its naval ships as well as submarines in the Gwadar port, which would be very bad news for India strategically. So India would want to have a presence very near to Gwadar port so it can keep an eye on China. So it helps India, first of all, counter Chinese influence and also keep a close eye on China. Similarly, it also supports India's regional outreach. Now, India is trying to develop and mend its relations with Central Asian republics using trade route. And you can't trade with them directly because we don't have a physical connectivity with them. And if we were to connect with them physically, we'll have to go through Pakistan. But we can't depend on Pakistan. So therefore, Chabahar port is a natural alternative. So this is what it is significant for India. But there must be something for Iran also, right? Why is Iran letting us develop a port in their territory? The answer is yes, there is something for Iran. First of all, Iran for long has been isolated from the West. And this is because of the Iran's nuclear program. Now, to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons, the countries of West, they have imposed severe economic as well as technological sanctions on Iran. Now, because of this sanction, Iran's economy has crumpled, its technological levels has fallen. And this is not just technologically and economically, but also geographically isolated Iran. So Iran would want an alternative. And this alternative, according to Iran, is India. So India being a regional power in the Asian region, it wants to develop a port in Iran, and that is why Iran is comfortable, but because it can see a way out of Western sanctions. Similarly, it positions Iran as a key hub of regional trade. Now, what are the countries which are famous for regional trade? These are Netherlands, these are Singapore. And these countries have become developed because of their presence in global trade. So, similar is kind of an approach that Iran wants to do. It wants to become a hub of a regional trade in a very geographically and ecologically sensitive area. That is the Gulf of Oman, Persian Gulf as well as Arabian Sea region, which has presence of lot of trade networks, and Iran wants to be a key part of it. So this is what is good for Iran in this particular situation, and that is why they are allowing us to develop a port. Now the next part is what are the progress that have already been made. Now India invested first in the Shahid Behishti terminals. Now there are various terminals in the Chabahar port. One of the biggest terminals is Shahid Behishti terminal, which has been developed by India. Now its first phase was inaugurated in 2017, where India's wheat was sent directly to Afghanistan using Chabahar port. Similarly, in 2019, the port capacity expanded to 5.8 million tons. And the company or the organization responsible for managing the berths that India operates in Chabahar port is India Ports Global Limited. But on one hand, the port capacity that has been developed in 2019 is 5.8 million tons. But what is the potential capacity of this port that it can be developed? It is as much as 82 million tons. So see the potential and see the reality. Don't you think there is a big mismatch? So what is the reason of this mismatch? Let us find out. Now, there are many reasons that have togetherness has resulted to this mismatch. First reason is our own slow implementation. Now, India being a very bureaucratic oriented country, its projects in the near neighborhood like in Nepal, Sri Lanka, Myanmar and even Iran has witnessed slower implementation or delays in their execution. And this is because of India's slow or diplomatic or bureaucratic approach, and this is also the case even with respect to Chabahar port. But there is also another big factor that has created hurdles in the development of Chabahar port, and that is the geopolitical hurdles, and this is primarily because of the tense relationship that US has with Iran. Now US for a long time has categorized Iran as a linchpin of axis of evil. Similarly, when Iran was trying to develop its nuclear program, US and other developed Western countries, including European Union, they signed an agreement which allowed Iran to enrich some uranium but not to use it for weapons related purpose, and this was called as Joint Committee Plan of Action JCPOA agreement. Now because of this agreement, the relations between US and West countries on one hand and Iran somewhat got better, and this created an opportunity for India to continue developing the Chabahar port. But after Donald Trump came into power in US, he brought US out of this agreement, and as a result, the relationship between US and Iran soured again, and this created hurdles for India's continuous development of Chabahar port. Now, US sanctions on Iran for a long time has created problems in ensuring supply and financing for development of this port. So this is the biggest reason that has created hurdles for development of Chabahar port. Similarly, what was the original intention of India to develop Chabahar port? So that its goods and services can reach Afghanistan easily. And this was particularly developed keeping a democratic Afghanistan in mind. But something changed in Afghanistan in 2021. That was a radical Islamic organization. Taliban took over the reins in Afghanistan and it created problems as far as India's outreach to Afghanistan is concerned. So this was the factor, or all these factors in togetherness have created delay. Biggest factor is geopolitical hurdle. But if I tell you that all the external factors have created hurdle, I would be incorrect because our slow execution is also responsible here. Now, why did US first of all gave a waiver and why it withdrew it? That is also very important for us to understand. Now, US allowed India to continue develop Chabahar port because the intention of both US and India at that time was to help Afghanistan reconstruct. Now, this waiver was given in 2018 and at that time US was actively present with boots on ground in Afghanistan. So India went to this US with the proposal of jointly developing Afghanistan so that Indian goods which are cheaper and good in quality, they can be delivered easily to Afghanistan using Chabahar port. So US liked this idea, so it provided India with a waiver on its economic sanctions. So this was the reason why US gave us a waiver. But everything changed in 2025. Now, I told you the relations between US and Iran has been tense for a long time, but it went up a notch in 2025 when US directly bombed many nuclear facilities of Iran, including Natanz and Fordo. Now, this created a very active, tense situation between US and Iran, which can also lead to war. And because of this tense situation, US had no other option but to withdraw these sanctions, withdraw this exemption to the sanctions. And US for long under President Trump has been following what is known as maximum pressure policy. And this maximum pressure policy of US wants to economically, diplomatically and technologically cripple and strangulate Iran's development. And to enable or to strangulate Iran's development, it can't let such kind of projects to function. So from US perspective, that is why it has withdrawn. Now, what is the consequence or implication of this withdrawal on India? Let us understand this because we are living in India. We are going to appear for UPSC exam. So questions in this exam would be with respect to India. So what is the implication on India? Obviously, this implication would be negative. First of all, it hampers India's access to Afghanistan and Central Asia. It weakens our prospects to develop international north-south transport corridor, which not just betrays our trade with Afghanistan, but also with Central Asian republics and Europe. Now, it also gives us a strategic setback with China's Ghadar port. I told you, keeping a close eye on China is very important for India. But if we are not able to significantly develop Chabahar port, don't you think our capacities would be crippled, right? Similarly, it complicates India's balancing act. Now, India for long has been good friends with US and similarly it has maintained good relations with Iran. But once these countries are not having good relations, don't you think India would have to pick one over the other and this would jeopardize our very delicate balancing act between these two countries, right? So this is why it is having a negative impact on India. Now, what can India do to somewhat reduce the stress? The reason is it can diplomatically lobby with Washington so that it can reconsider its decision. Similarly, it can create a greater regional partnership involving other major economies in the region, including Russia, Central Asian countries, European Union, all of them who are stand to benefit out of INSTC. And due to non-development or reduced development of Chabahar port, don't you think each and every country would be affected, right? So India can lobby with these countries also. Similarly, India can also explore alternative connectivity projects. For example, to reach far east portion of Russia, India has developed a transport corridor from Chennai in the eastern part of India to Vladivostok in the far east of Russia. Similarly, it can parallelly focus on other regional projects as well, one of which is India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor, which connects India to Middle Eastern countries like UAE, Israel, as well as through Europe, right? So through this corridor, India can try to obviate the tensions, try to obviate the harm that it has faced due to removal of the exemptions given to the Chabahar port, right? So this is what we needed to discuss. Now, before moving to the questions, I have something I wanted to tell you. You can still take admissions to our 2026 courses, but you'll have to remember today's 20th of September. And today is the last date where you can take admissions for 2026 courses. After that, only 27 and 28 courses will be available. So please hurry up if you're appearing for 2026. Now is the last chance. You can use the code ATS Live because this code helps you save as much as 7,000 rupees. And the ultimate price that you're going to pay for the diamond batch is 26,999. But only after you apply the code ATS Live. Okay, please remember that. Now let's see. What is the importance of developing Chabahar port in India? Any guesses that you want to make? Obviously, option C. India will not depend on Pakistan for access to Afghanistan and Central Asia. Option C is the right answer. Now, a question that appears in this year's prelims. India is one of the founding members of International North-South Transport Corridor, which is a multimodal transportation corridor which connects to which of the following? Now, please give me the correct answer to this question in the comment section. So the ones who answer it correctly, I'll give your comments a thumbs up so that you know you have gotten it right. This is all from my side for today. Once again, the notes that you want to download it, they will be made available on this Telegram channel. So we'll see each other again. Please have a very good day.